Hello, everyone. Welcome again. I'm Chris from Natalia Web. We will be starting in just a couple of minutes. You have time to invite everyone from your team, your friends, to join us in this special presentation with IntelliBoard. While we're starting, I will be showing our starting prayer. Okay, we will begin with an invocation.
Still and know you
good ideas, good software ideas to improve the education of our country. And this is why today we have a very special guest. We have Pierre Daguzan and Natalia Dovhan from IntelliBoard. So IntelliBoard is a learning analytics solution. I think it's the most popular learning analytics solution around the world. It's used in all kinds of circumstances, universities, schools, corporations. We will learn a lot more about it in the coming minutes. We will be having this conversation live. We are streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So if you have any questions, please send them wherever you are. But we also invite you to join our Mood site, which is where we are hosting this site. This is a preparation for our big conference, the Mood Philippines 2021, which will take place next month. And if you join now, you not only will be able to watch the recording of this presentation, you will be able to get to activities, you will be able to watch past webinars, and you can complete them to earn some reward, very special rewards that we have for you. So if you're on Facebook and YouTube, you should find a link to sign up. It's completely free to catch just more resources and more information. But all right, so let's get started. Hello, Pierre. Thank you once again for joining us. How are you today?
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. So my name is Pierre Daguzan. I'm the account manager for the Asia Pacific region for IntelliBoard. So I cover all the APAC region and the Philippines. So thank you all for joining. Thank you, Christian, for this great introduction. We are very excited to start working with you and help your client to bring visibility to their LMS and also make their learning management system smart. That's what IntelliBoard is about. So I will be very happy to start a demo and show you around our platform. Christian, let me know if you have a video first.
You had a video, you can add the blue button.
Okay, so I will start sharing my screen. I don't have the ability to share my screen right now. Okay, so
yes,
thank you everybody for joining. And let me start sharing my screen. Can everybody see my screen? Thank you. So let's start. So now let's look at our Moodle-based LMS platform. So you can have access to that site at any time. You just go on demo.intelliboard.net and you can have access to that public site. Now we will go and click to sign in to arrive into the super admin view of IntelliBoard. So as I mentioned before, IntelliBoard provides analytics for Moodle and the other LMS. We have two different kinds of data visualization. We have monitors who are more high-level data, and we have also reports that are more specific data about user, instructor, learner, course report, activity-specific report. Right now, we will look at the monitor. So monitor are graphic display of data. So in that monitor, for example, you will be able to see how many users you have in your system, how many courses, modules, and categories. In a few clicks, you can see how many users are not happened on a specific date, how many number of sessions, or course completion. A great thing about all those monitors is that you can change the time frame of those monitors very easily. So if you want to look at specific time frame, the last 30 days, custom date, you can just do that in a few clicks. So it's a very effective way to pull data very quickly. Right here, we have our heat map. The heat map will allow you to track all the visit inside your Moodle site. So you can see when people are, the students are the most active on your site. Very useful for IT people and education specialists in general. And again, you will be able to change this time frame. Right here, it's like daily activity overview with general information about number of enrollment, activity completion, course completion, the number of visits, time spent, and the number of sessions. Right here, we have actually a monitor, but it's also a report. So for Moodle, we have over 160 reports already created out of the box, but you can also set them up as a monitor. So right here in that monitor/report, you are able to see all the different students, their progress, their score, their visit, and the time spent, and when they created their account. Please note that we track time spent much more accurately than Moodle. We have our own time tracking systems that allow us to make sure that the user is active every 15 or 30 seconds. So for example, if a student is on an activity but is looking to a YouTube video, we will ping the user every 15 seconds, and if there is no action with the mouse on the keyboard, we will stop the countdown. So our time tracking system is much more. Other very cool monitor are, for example, the user map. If you have a user in different part of the world, it's also a great way to see where your students are connecting from. And right here, very similar to the heat map we looked at earlier, but it's breakdown per week and per month. So again, you are able to see when your Moodle is accessed the most. And the great thing about all those is that you can create your own monitor set for specific people of your organization or specific courses or etc. Right here, we have a few monitors already created out of the box related to Big Blue Button, tutorial, course overview, learner overview, LMS performance. But also, you can create your own monitor set. So let's say we want to create a monitor set for a specific person in your organization. I will say again, Dean of Education. You will assign a connection, for example, and now you will click and drag all the different information you want to see in that monitor set. So let's say HTTP request advance. I want also some course information, browser statistics, very useful. But I want also to know what's happening in my courses, so most visited courses, enrollment per courses. I want to see also about operating system and language utilization, and also Moodle and mobile. So you can create your own monitor set to assign specific data to specific people in your organization. So I just save, and just like that, I created a new monitor set. So right here, we are able to see which kind of operating system your student or your instructor are accessing Moodle. Also the language utilization, if you have a user using different language. Browser statistic, also very useful for IT people. Right here, we will look at most visited courses. So it's a great way to track which courses are the most active. And like that, for example, you can see data privacy has a lot of visits, but what's happening to the HR certification class? So maybe you can reach out to the HR certificate teacher and ask, okay, what's happening? Why we don't have more visits in your courses? Here we will have the HTTP request advance with the breakdown of all the different activity in your Moodle and which one are the most used. Also a great way to have a good visibility on what's happening in your LMS. Here we have the Moodle mobile logins and web logins. Again, a great way to see, to understand how your user are accessing your Moodle site. Enrollment per courses, so also give you a good picture of how many courses, how many enrolled and completed activity in those specific courses. And again, all those monitor, you are able to change the time frame and look at specific dates very easily. Also, great thing about IntelliBoard is that you can download at PDF, Excel. You can also email, you can schedule, but I will go over that feature after because it's a great feature with a report, but you can share it via API key. So let's say you just want to send that monitor set to a specific person in your organization, and you just want them to have access to that set of data. You will just email that link, send it, and that person will only have access to the monitor set we just created. And they will be also able to change the date and look at the different data. So it's a great way and very easy way to share data very easily. But now let's look at the report, because I think that's where IntelliBoard shine. I will point out a few reports that have been very used amongst education institutions around the world during COVID time. A few reports that have been very used and have been very useful for big universities around the world. So the first one that I want to point out are, for example, the inactive user in courses, inactive user in system. Two great reports in order to do early intervention. Login statistic or logins logouts are also pretty interesting report. And also I will point out the user status summary to give a good overview of the student. So now let's look at the inactive user in courses, for example. This report is a great report because you are able to filter by cohorts if your organization is using cohorts. But more importantly, you are able to filter by categories or by courses. So let's say we only want to look at who has been inactive in the HR protocol class. So let's say, okay, I just want to see what's happening in the HR protocol class, and I want to see who has been inactive for the last 5 days. And just like that, I pull out all the students that have been inactive for the last 5 days in the HR protocol class. I'm able to see first name, last name, email, the cohort name, when they're enrolled, their first access, the last access date, the last login, the course name, the number of completed activity, the status on the completion, number of activities and completed activity, and who was the teacher. So it's a great way to pull out who is inactive, like that the teacher or an admin or a success manager can reach out to the student and say, okay, why have you been inactive in that courses? And so like you can make sure your students are on track. In inactive user in system, also a great report, very similar, but it will be general to the system. But the great thing about that report is that you are able to filter by role. So you are able to track everybody inside your Moodle. So if you want to look at this time not the student, but your teacher, you are able to track that. So you are able to look at if the teacher, editing teacher, or whatever role you have inside Moodle have been active. And you can see their first access, the last access, and the last login. Now let's look at the user status summary. User status summary. It's also a great report to give you again a good idea of what's happening with your student, but also the manager, the teacher, and etc. So now, for example, let's just look at the teacher, at the student. We are able to see all their name, email, how many courses they enroll, how many completed activities, completed courses, number of visits, and time spent. And so it gives you a good overview of the student and what's happening with those students. But now let's look at one of the most used reports worldwide with IntelliBoard. It's a learner and success and progress report. It's a great we want to identify students at risk. It's a very important report because it can really help you to learn. A great thing about that report is that, again, you are able to filter by profile field if you are using profile field, but more important, again, you are able to filter by categories and by courses. Again, I want to look at what's happening in the HR protocol class. And now I want to only look at the students that are not in that class. Will be a student that grade equals C or below. So I unclick the grade that I don't want to see. I click OK. And just like that, I pull out all the students that are not performing in the HR protocol class. I'm able to see again first name, last name, course start date, enrollment date, the progress versus the class average. So the student or the teacher inside Moodle with a learner and instructor dashboard will be able to see how they are doing versus the class average. The score, the status on the activities, number of visits, time spent, ID number. So ID number is also custom user field. The great thing about all the reports at IntelliBoard is that you can edit, you can custom them in some way. So you are able to enable or disable something. For example, I want to add the email, the grade, the completed activity, and also other custom user field. Save, and you can of some of the custom user field. So it's a great way to create some kind of custom report tailored to your organization. And again, let's look at all the students that were not performing in that class, and now I can see the grades, the completed activities, the score, the status on the activities, number of visits, and time spent. And now let's say I want to schedule that report and send it to the HR protocol teacher and make it maybe a weekly report. So I will put the email of the teacher. I will select the class. So again, we were looking at the HR protocol. I want to send him only the list of the students that are not performing. Like that, the teacher can reach out to them directly and try to ask what's happening and if they can provide support. So I select again the grades that I want to see. Don't filter by custom user field, all completion status. And here I will be able to filter by enrollment date or by course start date. We want to make it a weekly report, as I mentioned earlier. So we want to look at the data of the last 7 days. You can change the name of that report, the subject of the email. We always recommend to put the status active. You can put an expiry date in case of data security reason, but you will also be able to change it as an Excel, for example, like that the teacher could edit that report if he needs. You don't want to send it hourly or your colleagues might hate you. But as I mentioned, we want to make it a weekly report and we want to send it every Monday morning at 8 a.m. We always recommend to send empty report because if during that week has bad grades, at least the teacher will know that everybody is doing great during that week in this class. And we save. And just like that, we created a new notification that will go to the HR protocol teacher every Monday morning at 8 a.m. with all the list of students that are not performing in. You can do that for all the different reports of IntelliBoard. So you can really kind of automate it, the reporting of your Moodle. Now let's look at a few other specific reports that I like to point out. Will be the course access stat by courses. It's a pretty cool report because it allows you to track all the different, again, you're able to filter by courses and you can see, okay, when people access the site, how many minutes they stay on each day, how many minutes, what's the percentage total. So great general information to see what's happening in your courses. Course content utilization, also great report for teacher. In that report, again, like all our reports are able to by categories, but Even better, here you can also filter by activities. So let's say we just want to look at the quiz activity and see what's happening with the quiz. So I'm able to see the email, the course name, the course template, what's the type of activity, the number of visits on that activity, the time spent, the first access, the last access, the user browser, operating system, IP address, and activity creation date. Now let's look at one of the most also complete reports. So a great thing about IntelliBoard is that we have also specific report on all the different activity inside Moodle. So assignment, attendance, quiz, forum, lesson, SCORM. We have specific report for all those activity. But if you want to have a general idea of what's happening in one courses, you can look at the activity progress by course detail. It's a great report because it gives you a great overview of all the different activity in one courses and how the student is doing in those activity. It's a big report, so it takes a second to load. And we filter by courses or category. And so please note that with Moodle, IntelliBoard only use live data. So every time that we do a query, we do it's live data. We do live query. We don't host any of your data on our server. Everything stay in your database inside your Moodle. We just are using our server to generate the report.
Yeah, very important.
Somewhere else. Coming. Okay. So in that report, again, you are able to track everything that's happening in your courses. So you are able to see email, course start date, enrollment date, course completion, course grade, and you are able to see all the different activity in that specific courses and what's the status on all those activity. So it's a very great report to have a big overview of all the activity in one courses and how students are doing. Now, let's look at the conditional event. So in addition to the ability to schedule report, we are also you are also able to create conditional event to do, again, early intervention. So we are able to create those kind of alerting that you can trigger some kind of alerting that will go directly to the person that needs that data. So instructor course inactivity, if you want to track your instructor. Learner is below grade, a certain grade. A learner course inactivity. So you can set of alerting to make sure everybody is is supposed to do the job that is assigned to. So it's a very, very, very great way to automate your reporting inside Moodle. Now let's look at, so as I mentioned before, we have over 160 reports for Moodle. But if you didn't find the report that you were looking for, you have also the ability to create report from scratch and very easily without having knowledge in coding. So for example, we want to see pro vice chancellor, and you want to create a specific report for that vice chancellor. So now you will just click and unclick and the custom user field that you would like to see. So just like that, you are able to really custom and create custom report tailored to your organization. And depending what field you are choosing, you will have access to different kind of visualization. So it's a very, very useful tool when you have a specific needs of data that needs to show up. You can create your own report from scratch. In addition to that, if you have on staff people that are familiar with SQL development, they are also able to create the SQL report directly from there. Now let's quickly look at the organizational role. So Organizational role is that it's where you will assign specific data to specific people. A specific teacher will only see data related to the courses or the student that is managing. So that's where the magic happens, I would say. So if we create the Dean of Education organizational group, now I will click and unclick the report that this group of people will have access to. So like that, you can really assign specific reports or monitors. Again, Dean of Education, that's the monitor set we created earlier. So you can unclick and assign specific data set to specific people in your organization. When you created the organizational role, you will assign sub-account. And you will either import your sub-account from Moodle, export your sub-account from Moodle and import it inside IntelliBoard, or you can just create your new sub-account, choose an organization role, Dean, first name, last name, a password, and again, now you will assign the specific report that this person will have access to. Now let's look at how IntelliBoard looks like inside Moodle, because the view that we saw will be mainly for admin, but the student, the instructor, or also the admin will have access to the data directly inside their Moodle, so they won't have to connect outside to IntelliBoard. So for example, this is a mock-up of Moodle. So the learner will have the learner dashboard, instructor will have their own dashboard. So for example, let's say I'm a teacher. I'm clicking on my instructor dashboard. I will be able to see all the total courses, the total learner, general information about all my courses, what's the current process, learners completed, learners incomplete. I will see all the different activities that are assigned and which one are the most used. Same for activity utilization. You are able to track by courses, topic utilization, graded also activity overview. You are able they will be able to track their data right here. They will be also able to see all the courses that they are working on. So for example, so that teacher is teaching accounting, HR protocol, compliance, French, and session attendance. So for example, he will here have a general picture of what's happening in this class. But if you want to have more specific data, you will click on the learner, and here you will see all these different students, and you can see what's the grade of the student, the activity status, the number of visits, time spent, average average visit per student, average time per student, and the action. Do I need to grade that student? What's happening with the different activities? So everything will be in one place. On top of that, as I showed you earlier, the organizational role and the sub-account, the teacher will see their report directly inside Moodle. So again, the learner and success progress was the report that we looked at earlier. And the student and the teacher will have access to that report directly inside Moodle without needing to connect to IntelliBoard. So that's where I would say the big power of IntelliBoard is that you are able to provide data to the different users in your system. And again, also for the monitor. And the learner will also have their own dashboard where they will be able to see their activity progress, all the course progress, how I'm doing. It will be able to display all their courses, what's their progress, what's their grade, what's their role, what's the completed activity, same for the assignment or for the quizzes. They will see everything in one place to make sure they're on track and they are doing the work that they need to do. And on top of that, here they will be able to track all their courses, and the completed activities, the class average, the number of time spent also, and on all the different courses. They will also able to track their grades. So again, very similar to the learner and success progress that I showed earlier. So we'll be able to see all the courses that is enrolled and how is it doing versus the class average. You will see his grades, the number of completed activity, what's the percentage of the grade, the course completion, and again, you can see detail on the activities and see, okay, what activity I still need to do and what's the status on all the different activities. And finally, we will be able to see the badges. So when you want to encourage your student, great, you are doing a great job, they will be able to see that also inside Moodle. So in a nutshell, that's what IntelliBoard is about. If you have any question, please let us know, and I think we can do a little Q&A if there is still some time and you have any specific question. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Pierre. Thank you so much. We do have quite a couple of questions coming up. If you are joining us live on Facebook and YouTube, please keep your questions coming. We will go through as many as we can in the couple of minutes we have left. And if you are catching this session pre-recorded, please remember that you can join the Moodle site. And on the IntelliWorld course, you will find a Q&A where you can not only ask your questions and get Pierre and the IntelliWorld team answer them, you will also earn points for asking questions, and then you can earn real rewards using your site. I want to mention the fact that IntelliBoard is a premium Moodle integration that's certified. That means that Moodle develops the LMS, has verified the quality of IntelliBoard, and IntelliBoard contributes to the Moodle project for being a partner. It is, to me, it's very clear that learning analytics are a really powerful tool for education, for the quality of our systems. And for us at NefilaWeb, we usually, when we are discussing projects, when we are introducing our services to our new clients, I always like to bring up that it's important for us to understand the stories or the journeys that take place inside the LMS, right? And we think like 4 main journeys that take place. And I think having IntelliWorld as a support, it's a very important part to really understand the journey that is actually taking place. So these 4 journeys for us are the IT journey, the principal or the leader or the administrator of the organization, the teachers, and of course the students. And IntelliBoard, as I think Pierre has shown us, is a very important part of these journeys. Like, for example, when we are thinking of what is the goal or what is sort of the happy ending of the IT administrator, which is to have a smooth, a reliable system, IntelliWorld can give very important information on what kind of activities are more important, how intensive they are in terms of resources. Something that I think you mentioned briefly, Pierre, is the fact that if you have other plugins inside those sites, like, for example, Big Blue Button, which is the one we're using for this webinar, or any others, you get analytics for the big plugin as well as the other activities, right? So that's just one example of the many things that you can sort of analyze as an IT administrator. We have the principal journey, which is to really understand if all the efforts that you are doing in your training, in your online learning experience platform is actually paying off. So you can actually match performance or achievements, both for the student or for the teacher or for even teams using IntelliBoard. You can have, I think this is a very powerful tool, the fact that you can get automated reporting. So if you can automate it like every week or the first Monday of every month, for example, you can get a report with the latest of what's happening and you can compare it to previous months. So you can actually keep track of how your experience, how your efforts are paying off or not. And it's a time to just reevaluate, right? And for the teachers, well, it's a very clear use case, right? You can actually match things like how much time is a student spending on a given activity. Maybe you can try if they make activities more engaging, so students feel compelled to spend more time in it, and then see if that is paying off in terms of achievements, in terms of competencies. And for students, and I think that's one of our first questions, Pierre, can students watch dashboards, or can they watch their own performance using IntelliBoard?
Yes, so that's what I was showing earlier. Right here, that's those data are related to a specific. So that's the view of a learner. So let's say I'm a student, I will have the learner dashboard. So that student called manager demo. So sorry, that's the name of the student. It's only data related to his courses or to the the assignment or the quizzes related to his work. That's only his data. That's only his courses. He will see general also information of the average of the class. But right here, that's only his own data. So that's all the classes that the student is enrolled, and you can see the progress, the grade, the number of completed activity in that classes, in all those courses. So yes, so the data that the student or the instructor see are only related to the class, the courses that they hold or they are working.
Yeah, that's excellent, because I think it's very important to also use these technologies to sort of empower the students, to help them, give them tools for them to be the leaders of their own learning process. I see that you have shown us a demo that has already some. So one question for those who are getting started is, let's say I start with IntelliBoard. How long will it take before I start to have user data generated
right away? So first of all, something I forgot to mention, and that is very important, we offer a free trial of IntelliBoard for anybody. So for anybody that wants to try for free IntelliBoard after that meeting, I will send Christian all the information. They can create their free account, get connected, and they can try it for free for a few weeks. I will say, since for all the people that joined today, I will give a 1 month free trial. So after they make their connection, they will get data right away, and you can also capture historical data. So you will even be able to pull out data from last year, months ago. The only data that you won't be able to see will be the data related to time spent, because again, time spent is our own tracking system, so we won't be able to track that because IntelliBoard was not installed before. But all the other data we will be able to run reports from historical data.
Yeah, excellent. So I know you have mentioned this before, but I would like you to emphasize the privacy aspect of IntelliBoard. I know there's a lot of people who are private. They don't want to think like there's a third party accessing information.
Yes. So
we have like international organizations. They want to comply for, say, like Europe's GDPR, or there are similar privacy agreements. So how does IntelliBoard stand there?
So that's the same. So we follow, since we are working in Europe, in US, around the world, we have all the, I would say, data privacy, I would say, certification. But more important for Moodle is that, again, as I mentioned, we are only doing live data. So we don't have access to your data. All your data stay in your database. We are just using our server to generate the report, but the data stay inside your LMS. So we don't, IntelliBoard doesn't have access to any of the data because it's live data, it's live query.
Yeah, okay. I think that's very important. IntelliBoard does not gather the data; it only lets you sort of query the database, right?
Yes.
I know that IntelliWord is a very popular system across platforms. It's popular in Moodle, and the other than there's also integrations with other pieces of work. But you don't mind telling us, in your opinion, what are the benefits of data visualization gathering for users of Moodle specifically? Like, what is there something that makes Moodle better or easier in terms of the data?
But completely, like if you have seen some of the Moodle reporting and what you're able to do with IntelliBoard, it's night and day. It's the ability to pull the data, the reports that easy, just in a few clicks. I'm able to say it's the power of IntelliBoard. Like, I just want to look at the data of the last 12 months, just like that. I pull that, like the specific report. I think that. Yeah, it's and that's why we work a lot very closely with Moodle. We get the update even earlier than that you guys. We are always in the loop with our developer to make sure we make a very powerful analytics, and that's why we are a Moodle Gold partner, because they trust us a lot, and we work very closely with them to bring visibility to Moodle.
Yeah, okay. So yes, there are things that you could not do in other LMS. Some report things, right? Only with
Yes,
Moodle.
and we started IntelliBoard with Moodle, so we have much more reports available for Moodle than we have for Canvas, Blackboard Learn, or D2L, for example. But even now, we are also integrating with Zoom also, and Google Classroom and Illusion also will arrive soon. And also, we have our own time tracking system for Moodle. So that's also a big point, I would say.
Awesome.
Like to have a very accurate time spent.
Okay. We have a question from the LPU Center for Technology Enabled Education in Manila. So, if we have inactive users, can we generate specific reports of inactivity? And can we have reports that we can filter by groups or by sections?
Yes, again, Natalia, if you want to jump in on that, but when we were looking at the inactive user in courses, let me see. Inactive user in courses. So again, in that report, here you are able to filter by cohort, so that will show up all the different cohorts that you are using inside Moodle. And here are all the different categories. So this is just I would say a replicate of whatever you have inside your Moodle will show up here, and you will be able to filter the different category and courses and pull out the data related to those inactive users.
And we also have the reports that are able to filter by the groups. So they can either create their own reports, or they can go into other reports that already including groups.
Okay, I think that's very powerful, because you could sort of evaluate the performance of a certain activity or a certain course on different groups, right? Different groups of students. Maybe the same activity is not as engaging for some students than others, right? Or some groups have better completion rates, and you can have a very clear picture of that, right?
Yes, correct. And also, if clients would like to, for example, assign specific groups to the instructor will be able to view only those groups that he has assigned in his instructor dashboard. And similar would be with the sub accounts. If you create a separate account for IntelliBoard, they can also assign the specific groups and view the information only for that narrow group of users assigned to the the instructor or any other user in the LMS.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Natalia. And I know that you mentioned that another important feature is the ability for you to have that information, share it with someone that is not necessarily the teacher. Maybe there is some researcher or some third party that wants to have specific information. So IntelliWare has a lot of tools to either share the data, share some visualizations to enable these. I'm sorry, I forgot the name. How did you call it? Like the instance?
There's a different categories and groups and activities.
Yeah, exactly. So you can decide who can see what part of the data, also for a given time frame, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And in addition to that, the power is really IntelliBoard allow you to assign specific data to specific people. And again, the specific data an instructor will only see the data related to his student and the courses that he's working with. He won't see data of other teacher or stuff. You can really segment that data and assign specific data to specific people very easily.
That's very, very powerful in that way, very flexible. And we see there are hundreds of reports and the ability to create your own custom reports. So you can basically think of any question that there is data for which there's data in Moodle, and IntelliWare can get it for you. A bit of a technical question from Ms. Red Valdez. What are the parameters to consider a user as inactive? Does IntelliBoard define what inactive means, or can I set my own criteria? How does that work?
Yes, that's right. So the inactive users will be also tracked by the IntelliBoard time tracking. It will depend on different reports, because for some reports, inactive can be considered by the last access to the course, and for other reports, it will be considered as the last login, or, for example, not accessing the course for the specific period of time. So all those parameters will be different for different reports. So if you have any specific question about specific reports, we will be happy to answer those questions. For example, this inactive users in course that Pierre has opened, this one will be related to the inactive users in the course level, and it will be related to the last access. So when you filter by all time, the users will be filtering by the last access to the course.
Okay, excellent. That makes me wonder, for example, could you if you create a definition of inactivity or any other, let's call it a custom variable, could you like create it and use it in more than one, for example?
Yes, definitely. It can be done. We can look for it in our already existing reports, or it can be done through the Build with SQL, our advanced way to create your own reports, where you can create the code and reach out to the needed data tables in your database.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we are at the top of the hour, so I guess I'll leave with the final question. I think the one everyone's, which is how much is IntelliBoard, or maybe not sure pricing right away, but how is the model? Is it per user? Is it per site?
Yes, so yeah, it's based on the number of user, and you can have more than one connection. It's just based on the number of user. If you're interested to know about price, like right now, we will have some I would say interesting pricing for Philippines. So, but again, I think a good start would be to start with a free trial. Everybody who is interested to try it for free for a few months, for at least a month, and after we can start the discussion around that. But our subscription is based on the yearly subscription, and just the first year we have a training fee to make sure you have all the tools you need to be successful with IntelliBoard. But and after it's just a yearly subscription. We can do also monthly if needed, and I'm flexible on pricing. So yes, please, if you have any question about pricing, reach out to Christian. He will talk to me, and we can go from there.
Yes, thank you for that. So just to reiterate, IntelliWord and NetFilaWeb, we are signing a partnership that will enable our clients and everyone who is interested to try IntelliBoard for free. For that, you need to sign up on our Moodle site and join the IntelliBoard course. And there you will find more information on how to activate your free trial, how to get it going. And if you want to connect with Pierre, with Natalia for questions, for assistance, you may do so it as well. And as I mentioned, again, by joining the course and by checking out a trial, you will be earning our digital currency for the Moodle pesos, that then you can exchange for some rewards from IntelliBoard and all of our other partners. So I guess that is it.
And one more thing, if you have access to the demo site, we have also access to the live chat and the support ticket. So you will most likely talk to Natalia because she is with the same time zone. But yes, so we have live chat almost 24/7. It's 24/6, but for Asia, I think cover 24 and 6. So almost every day, 24 hours, you will have the live chat if you have any technical question.
Excellent.
That's all. Thank you, Christian. Sorry, I cut you in.
Thank you so much, Pierre, Natalia, and everyone who's joining us on Facebook and YouTube for your questions. Again, if you're watching this recorded, please join our Mood site. You will find the link either on Facebook and YouTube. Sign up. You can get a free trial of IntelliBoard. It doesn't matter which elements you're using. Of course, with Moodle, there are some added benefits and some support. And well, that is all for now. Thank you for this enlightening meeting. To see you in our upcoming webinars and on the Moodle Mood Philippines 2021 this April.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.